And we're back, and I want to show you this explosive workout that I use as I transition from my off season to my in-season training as my American football season starts to get underway. But before I do, one of the key things that I really want to explain to you is a few things around how athletes train. Now, if you don't know, a lot of elite athletes do the same things over and over and over again. This is because the workouts that they're doing translate specifically to their sport. So you don't need to feel anxious about whether the workout that you're doing is better than another workout that you're doing, because at the end of the day, you don't want to train movements, you want to train energy systems, and then the movements come after that. For example, the alactic ATP energy system for short bursts of powerful movements. You can do many different workouts to elicit that energy system. And same thing with the aerobic system. You can do a whole bunch of stuff that can elicit that energy system. There are three major ones. I'll break that down in another video. Subscribe if you want to see that. One of the key things about becoming athletic is having a well-rounded approach to your training. So not only having a periodized plan, but also having various touch points that'll help different areas of your sport. So you have to sit down and consider, what is my sport and what parts of my sport do I want to improve on, and how do I do that? From there, you can work backwards. So really and truly, if you want to be athletic, maybe stop being an athlete and more be a scientist. The reason why I train in various ways is because I want to expose my body to different adaptations so that when I'm on the field or when I'm on the court, whatever I'm doing, my body is prepared to be in that position. A lot of the time, people go through things like ACL injuries, which are usually non-contact related. This could be down to poor positioning, overtraining, or muscular imbalances, which override the body when it's about to move or change direction. These cleats by Nike are one of my favorites, not necessarily because of how it feels, but mainly because of how it looks. But one thing that is important about these cleats is the traction plate. Nike has started creating their traction plate very similar to sprint spikes. And that's because they're trying to mimic the dorsiflexion that comes when you're sprinting. However, if you look a bit closer at the traction plate, one key thing is that once this gets stuck into the ground, it will take a lot of force to get out of the position. So for example, if you're running on turf, this can cause your foot to be stuck into the ground. And if your knees, your hips, your posterior chain is not used to being in that position, well, welcome to Snap City. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the training session. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do here is a basic warm up, getting my hips loose, because the most important thing when you're about to do an explosive workout is to make sure your posterior chain is loose and is warm. And I use this as an activation for my lower body, for my posterior chain, opening my hips, getting abduction through the range of motion. And ideally what I am thinking about here is becoming more elastic in my movements and making my body understand that it's okay to be in these different positions. Now, as I transition into my PNF stretch, I'm basically thinking about getting the antagonist muscles to work whilst I'm exposing my body to a wide range of movements and motions. I really like using resistance bands for my warm-ups because you get a full extension, and as you get that extension, you're continuously getting tension through the movement. So same thing with these Plaloff presses, you're continuously getting that feedback through the movement. And these knee extensions, these terminal knee extensions, are fantastic for getting blood flow to the patella tendon. Now going on to medicine ball slams, I really like these split stance medicine ball slams because they start to work the more ballistic movements and they're fun to do. They're great, I love these. Now moving on to seated straight leg box jumps. I like doing these as opposed to normal box jumps because I feel that with the normal box jumps you can really start to get ahead of yourself, because at the higher you jump, the higher the box goes, the more you start to use your mobility and getting your knees over your hips instead of concerning yourself with the hip height. And that's where you'll miss out on the translation from the box jumps to field work. So now, if you notice, you're starting to see a slower to more faster ballistic movement. So I went from the warm-up to the medical slams to jumping, and now I'm doing bar workouts to just warm up for what I'm going to be doing next. And with this warm-up, what I'm doing is getting feedback into my mind, into my brain, throughout my body, to let my body know now we're going into a different mode of movement, and I need it to perform in a different way. So I love these particular stretches. This really works out my scapula, my shoulders. I've been doing this for the past couple of months, and they're absolutely amazing. They were very difficult at first, but as you continuously do these movements, your body gets used to it, and you start to learn that it's okay to be in these positions, and you start to relax more into that range of movement. So now I'm just reminding myself exactly of the positions that I want to be in, keeping the bar close to me. You can see that the bar is essentially grazing my shirt because I'm trying to keep it as close as possible. Obviously not hitting my shirt, but I want to keep it as close as possible to my body because that's where you're being efficient. So now I'm reminding myself where I want to be, contacting the bar with my hips. And as I start going into the hang power snatch, I'm just reminding myself exactly that, of the feeling that I want to get, of having the bar contact my hips and getting underneath the bar as quickly as I can. And as you can see here, what I'm trying to do is keep my arms as loose as possible on the way up, which is where I accelerate the bar. And that's the most important part, to accelerate the bar on the way up, not just jerk from the ground, because that's where you get in trouble. So now going into the French contrast method of the workout. So this is where I use 2 workouts, and as soon as I finish the first one, I go right into the second. And I do this to elicit a response to my brain, essentially using the power of potentiation to trick my body into becoming more and more explosive, where you sort of do a heavier weight, and then from there you shock your body into a lighter, similar workout. And this is something that I'm going to be doing throughout my in-season training, because I'm able to use lighter weights but still get the explosiveness and still get the robustness that I need to maintain certain, at least 80 to 85% of my strength. So yeah, man, that was the workout. Just follow, subscribe, all of that, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.